a lot more work. I found that it's a lot more efficient if you just stay in trouble and get in and get out.
That's true.
Then you good?
Nobody listens anyway, isn't that right?
That's right.
Most of the time.
Fall on deaf ears, but
All the time. Hey Stacy, I'm updating software on that. That way it has all the new carrier codes and all that. So. Yeah, so what happened, so when there's new towers put in, it'll automatically, now it'll pretty good. And know what they are.
Do you think that, has something to do, may not get connected on the rest of them on the road?
No, honestly, I think the profile on your laptop, on your iPad corrupted, so that's why I had to go in and forget the device altogether and reestablish that connection.
Did you ever hear from Mark? Never called me back.
Never heard anything, never called me back.
Never heard.
Okay.
Hey, we'd already finished, Sherry, we had already finished paying this, so we got that bill.
No, there's no pressure for that, it's in May. Yeah, the conference is in May. It's like the 3rd or the 5th of May.
Okay, so we can do it on the April?
Yeah.
Or if we do.
They sent it to me and I just turned and sent it and I had a hotel and everything. You know what I was thinking? Is I called the Elion, that hotel. So they sent me my folio. It's for the night that I paid
Oh,
separate.
for that.
Because we stayed in additional night. Remember, because the tag
So
conference.
you don't have such.
I can give you that one, it'll give you the time that I was there, but it doesn't have the charges for that night.
I was fixing the text you. I was missing you. Did you say that I have that? But I didn't want you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to set expectations.
There you are. Good morning. How are you? I'm just wonderful. My favorite messenger. Good to see you, sir.
how's everything going with you?
I'll get Linda to send
Oh, we'll listen, I don't know, like, oh, we'll do what you say anyway.
Well, I mean, if it's room and time.
You wanna go look at that desk this afternoon?
Because it's supposed to be the same room.
Think that'll work for you?
Pretty good.
But no, when I get back to the office, I'll send you one.
Has it sunk in the past?
Yeah, who told you that?
Oh, everybody does that, don't they?
Oh no, instead of having a snowball fight, we had confetti egg fight.
Confetti egg fights are a lot cleaner than snowball fights.
No,
And nobody slapped somebody upside the head.
they're far more painful too, because those little eggs, that surface tension can be pretty surmountable.
Yeah.
So we had the little 7-year-olds run and just slinging as hard as they could, and you just hear a number. And it was that egg hitting you and going, leaving a well. It didn't crack.
Like paintball.
So Ann said, well, actually, dispatch said they needed a toner cartridge. So I got on and looked at Office Depot and they were temporarily out of stock.
Temporarily
So
out of
what I did was I rolled over onto Amazon.
Yeah.
It's $50 cheaper.
Easter.
So we're gonna start buying
Easter,
it.
look like Easter egg.
You know, we got that account, we might as well.
That's kind of what I thought. And I ordered Ann's image. She sent me a thing
We just,
Friday afternoon, or Thursday.
Like when you order, is there something you print out, like if you print that out, you touch it?
Yeah, it has room for comments.
Okay, that helps me keep up.
Good, you'll see some yes on it.
It's hard to do units and figure out. Yes. It's what, the rollers are dirty.
And I'll be able to get money down Friday
The
after.
image that's already your toner
That's what I.
isn't getting hot enough to seal this when they take. Did you hear all about? No, they're all cheaper money. So they order on Amazon. I called it, I wouldn't get it. Sure, out of stock. I called it. That's wrong.
I seen what he's doing.
It's like, hoping we can hurry, and then we can clean it up.
That's the number one deal, and you've got to be hurry to,
Yeah.
it'll be hurry back. The crew check it back on the door.
That's right.
That's all here, I've heard.
I may come in and refinance.
We bought that place in their units, and it was so much stuff, we put some goats in there, they have 6 little babies, they are so cute. 5, was 6, 4 were born last week, 2 Friday. Yeah, and they're just now learning how to run around and hop and stand on the No, right next door, where Gina's house is. It's the end of our street, right across the church. Yeah, we bought that. Yes. So funny. I've never been around baby goats before. They're hilarious. The one goat that won't let you touch her, she's the best one. It's just real cautious. She chews chocolate. And she had one had triplets. She had twins and one didn't make it. He's only 9 months old. And Annie's only 5 or 6 old woman. Yeah, he's 9 Sure.
Turned off water on this thing this morning, didn't you?
I don't have one of these for myself, I guess.
It's all memorized, don't you?
No. I got a current one.
I guess this was 2 weeks behind, isn't it?
I know, you can't do until their, the bank, the month is over and then you have the bank breaks. One's February, one's January.
Yeah, but I showed her them out there. I showed her the paper I made. She said, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's over there. That's all I'm waiting
And does that count as or just a space salary?
No, you're right there. Go ahead. I'll do that.
You were always a month behind, you know. I've had but they
Heard you
have,
say you had a current one.
no, I have current cash positions. They won't even get the bankers until after the first, you can't do it.
So what's the earliest date after the first? Takes you what, 3 days, 2 days? A day? A week?
Depends.
Depends if payroll's
This
going
is
on.
February, this is printed on the 10th, is that right?
No, because we would just be behind, because we had all the end of the year stuff to do. Or I was behind, then we had problems, they wouldn't balance.
Always,
Yeah.
always a situation where you're doing that work.
Voided check.
Did you find it?
Just thinking, and that little thing, when you hand those other things out.
It says on that.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's no hurry on that.
The ones that printed ours, and all the names and everything of ours, with the X's on it. That's what's still. I think it is.
Kill a lot of trees. Kill a lot of
Print
trees.
them with X's.
So we'll call this meeting to order, meeting of the Young County Commissioners Court, Monday, March 28, 2016. It is 9:32 a.m. Make note that this meeting was posted in the manner and time required, and that all members of the court are present, and if they convenient, please stand for statements.
Close bow. Our Heavenly Father, we so thank you for this day. We thank you for this weekend where you sacrificed your Son for our sins and the miracle of his rising. We ask that you guide and direct us and see fit that we do things for the county. We ask that you take care of our military and as they take care of us overseas. We thank you for the rain and we ask for more rain. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our first order of business this morning will be a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments regarding the use of the countywide polling places that we have just experienced in our recent primary election. Before we bring any public comments to the forefront, I'd like to ask our elections administrator, Lauren Sullivan, to please give us a little synopsis of the circumstances. Lauren.
I sent all of you an email a week or so ago of the vote center surveys that we received back. Out of the 4,600 voters, we got 450 surveys back. That included the early voters. 85% of them liked the vote centers. 57% of them voted in their home precinct. There were a whole bunch that didn't know what their home precinct was. 83%, almost 84% wanted to continue with vote centers. And usually it was out of convenience. The only issues we saw was the lines, and we've talked about deploying more equipment for the November election so that we can streamline some lines, and we'll do kind of parallel lines in all of our ground locations so that those lines won't be an issue. Other than that, we really didn't have any major complaints. So, field any questions or whatever else?
No, I think if you like, at North Texas, that's where everybody wins.
Right.
And if we put a sign up there that says, well, you can vote here,
You can vote here.
Right.
You can vote here.
And-
And my people go.
Right,
Okay.
right. And publicity was an issue that we talked about. It was in the paper to some extent.
But I don't think everybody reads the paper.
I know, and that's a battle I fight on
Yeah.
every election, is nobody reads the paper, nobody listens to the radio, and nobody watches the news. So, it was up on Facebook, which a bunch of people use, but, I can't go door knocking. That's my only.
That's why I said that, we just put a sign.
Yeah, and we'll have one here at the courthouse too that says you can't vote here, to try to stop some of the traffic that comes through this way.
Lauren, with this turnout that we had, which was what, 40%? 40%? Wouldn't the problems with the lines have been worse had it not been countywide polling places?
Yes, we were able to send people to other locations. South Bend had 20 voters up until about 5 o'clock. From 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, they jumped to 60 voters because we were sending people away. We sent some to Loving, we sent some to Newcastle. First thing in the morning, nobody knew about First Methodist being open, so they didn't have a line until about 9 o'clock. But North NCTC was completely flooded by 7:05. So we started sending people, where we could, and they seemed to appreciate that because they could drive to one of the smaller communities and be voted and back before they could have advanced much in
Was
line.
that late evening rush, was that just a case of voter procrastination?
Yes, yes, and 5 to 7 is going to be one of your busier times. From 3 o'clock on, it gets steadily busier. But we'll try to push early voting again. But on a primary, you've got so many candidates and so much going on. It's hard to make up your mind until.
Of course, in a rural area, there's probably a lot of voter day voters that like to vote on that day. And they work all day and they get off at 5 o'clock.
Right, and really, we statistically, traditionally, do the same number of voters on election day as we do all of early voting. So, it doubles us, and that's pretty well what happened here. We probably had more of a 40-60 split between early voting and election day, but, and the lines were, everybody showed up at once. It wasn't that we were bogged down in processing people, it was just they all showed up at once. I know Methodist was actually timing themselves for a little bit, and they were processing somebody every minute to minute and a half. But when you get, 200 people in line, it's still going to take a while. So that was kind of the ups and downs that we had. We didn't have any machine issues other than battery backups that died, which is pretty normal. And really, other than that, the Bluetooth printer that we have would blip out once in a while, but that's totally not an issue. We can reboot or we can do without the printer.
I know several people I visited with that had gotten in line here in town and decided to go to Southland and say, to vote. Now, they were coming from all Air Tractor and Power Extrusions and various places like that. Had they stopped there in Alney, they could have possibly voted
They
quicker.
could have. Well, Olney still was running a 30 to 40 minute wait, which was incredible for Olney. We were excited. At 7 o'clock, they were texting me saying we still have people that we're going to have to shut the door and bring them in. So.
The people working in Breckenridge or the prison
Right.
over that way, people stopped at South Bend.
Right.
We're ready for any public comments?
I am a dealer.
Anybody in the public out here wish to comment with regard to their experience with the countywide polling location? Please stand up, state your name.
I'm Carrie Burton from Loving.
Ma'am.
I was the election judge in Loving, precinct 16, but we did have several that came up from Graham because of the long lines that were here. People passing through, going on their way to Wichita Falls, or we had as many vote between 7 a.m. and 4:45, and then from 4:45 to 7 we had about the same amount. We had about 128 voters out there in Loving.
What was your general experience with the?
In the past, I was hoping for 100 out there, but we did exceed that.
Is you approve of the
Definitely.
countywide polling
Definitely.
place? Very good. Thank you. Anybody else wish to make comments with regard to the countywide polling place? To move forward with the countywide polling place, I'm required to send a letter to the Secretary of State requesting a successful determination. Along with our EA, she will have to also send some data, if she hasn't already, with regard to the results of the survey, anything like that. The SOS will view these recordings. We will make a digital copy of these recordings for this public hearing and send that along with the letter. And expect a successful determination by the SOS in that fashion. And if we get that successfully accomplished, then we will be on the countywide polling locations without having to go through this process additionally in the future.
Well, I think this opportunity that we have with this is excellent because in the past, we've had trouble with people not knowing exactly where to go to vote. And a lot of times people that live in Graham work in Olney, or people that only work in Graham, or vice versa, or wherever, and it's an opportunity that you can go and vote anywhere you want to. And that helps a whole lot. The only issues I can see is we may have to beef up our polling places a little bit on our more machines,
And that will be
you know. And but I do stress though that early voting, because, and the reason I stress early voting is because number one is something may come up on that day that you have to vote. It's unforeseen. At least you'd have an opportunity that you can vote before that day. But I think it's an excellent idea. The model that had in Lubbock, Texas, I had a lot of input talking to those commissioners when they first kicked it off. And I asked them more than once, and it's very successful. Very successful.
Of the 30 some odd counties that do this as a successful designation, I've not heard of anybody who has any complaints whatsoever. Once they've tried it, they love it, so.
Like you said, they're kind of place, man.
Yes.
No matter where they go.
I've got one negative thing I think about this whole situation is it gives you authority to close polling places down. We saw that closing Gene, and somewhere down the line you may close South Bend. So I kind of urge you, technically you can close South Bend down this next election, but if it weren't for South Bend being open this time, we might have been in a little more trouble, longer lines. So I'd be kind of hesitant. I'd urge you not to close South Bend, even though you got that authority, and just make sure everybody gets filtered through, gets able to vote in a timely manner this time before you start consolidating all these voting.
And I concur with what Stacy said, because we got people that love to just vote out there to Loving, South, and I mean, Loving's a small one too. You know, and
Loving's actually much bigger.
But I would encourage you never to oppose it.
Yeah, those people out there need a place to vote, and I know it costs money to do that, but we subsidize a lot here in county government that we don't like to, but it needs to be done.
I will say from a support standpoint, it made it a lot easier to go to each site as there were far fewer sites. And I'll commend Lauren on researching equipment, because the equipment she used this time around worked almost flawlessly. There was a few hiccups, but that was a Wi-Fi based problem that was there locally. We quickly resolved it, had it back up and running within the first hour of early voting. So I think as both a voter and the IT man here, it worked out splendidly. You know, lines are kind of unpredictable, being the fact that it was a very heavily populated and popular election. But with a few more purchases of equipment, I think it could go without a single negative feedback, other than the people that love their voting places and just want to vote just there. So, but on my side, Lauren, the voting centers worked out flawlessly, and
on a support side, it made my life easier and less stressful for those 2 weeks and 1 day.
We all know that gentleman, look for the record and the tape, that's our IT director, Eric Stedman. He plays a pretty good part in the election process, keeping the machines up, running the net, or not the machine necessarily, but the internet, keeping that connectivity going.
Or do you see the same problems come the general election? Now that the rosters of candidates have been trimmed to one on each party side?
Right,
Because I think a lot of our problem was that last minute, people were still making up their minds.
right, of the 14 candidates, you know, for
And had those
president.
propositions at the end of the ballot, people in the reading.
Yeah.
And they wasn't real informed before going to the vote.
Beforehand.
Right,
So it took them a while to
Right.
yeah.
sift through those.
Those aren't the easiest things to read.
No, they're really not, especially if there's any noise going on. I do foresee it being a large election. The state's already telling us to get ready, they're coming.
But
you
there are
know.
fewer names to check.
There are fewer names, but those names are, you know, it's a non-incumbent presidential year. So that will make a huge difference. Both sides, you know, have pretty good shots at a lot of things. So, you know, yes, all the local stuff's been decided, but I think that presidential's gonna bowl us over. So, every piece of equipment we have will be out, other than a couple that I'll save just in case, you know, something goes crazy, but I think it'll be just fine.
Are you gonna request additional machines for?
I'm not, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the early voting machines and request a waiver from the state so that I can reset them and then deploy those. That way we won't have to get additional pieces in here to borrow again or steal from Hart. We'll just reset what we've got.
Was it like 9 or 10?
Yeah, there were about 10 of them.
We received waivers before, I think, for that.
Right.
If we don't receive those, then we can't use the early voting machines in election day.
When was our one information? May,
Runoffs are May 24th.
when will that happen? It's gonna be a low number.
Well, and 2 weeks before, we're having all the local elections for the mayor and the hospital district. So, pretty much all of the month of May, somebody will be being elected for something. So,
So can you reprogram those local elections?
I'll have to do a waiver with that too.
Is there anyone else wish to speak with regard to the countywide polling location? And I'll entertain a motion to cease the public hearing.
So,
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Sipes to close the public hearing. All in favor? Carried 5-0. We'll move to item number 4, public comments, announcements, and presentations. I don't have anything that we entered into the non-action items. Anybody, anything they'd like to bring up before we go? Is there any of the public that would like to make a comment on public announcements?
Just a quick reminder, we are live streaming. Our meetings are posted with about a 20-second delay, so in about 20 seconds, people can tune into YouTube and hear me begin my spill about the live streaming. So,
Very good. If there be none, we'll move to item number 5, and that's consider county clerk minutes of the previous meeting, March 14th, 2016. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to those?
so moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers to accept those minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried 5-0. Item number 6, consider treasurer's financial report.
I gave you the February and the January reconciled statements.
And just to let you know, we did pay the debt service payment. We had to pay $104,400 US Bank and $601,800 to New York Mellon. We did move $284,800 out of the money market to cover that. In August, we'll owe $74,000, which in the debt service, we have $84,000 in there right now. So we'll be all right.
Okay, other than equipment leases and vehicle leases, this is the only debt that we have. This is the only
Yes, right, correct,
bond debt that we have.
correct,
And that is on capital. Law
correct.
enforcement facility.
And I know, just that, you know, we're pretty close on receiving our tax money, our current money, and in penalty and interest, it's all in line. We have collected $6,000 more in current taxes than we budgeted. And well, it was down this time, it was only 60-some-odd thousand in March. Hopefully it'll go back up, because February was 100 plus.
That was those sales tax.
Sales tax.
For.
No.
Oh, there's quarter or what?
No, each month we get them, they're 1 month behind. So the one we received in March was for February, and it was only 68,000. Yeah. Other than that, we're looking good, everything's pretty liquid.
So moved on. Financial reports.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wiley and a second by Commissioner Pruitt to accept that financial report as presented. All in favor? Thank you, Ann. Item number 7, consider budget amendments and vouchers payable.
Have vouchers payable.
Good.
Total is $73,378.17, and of that, $62,078.98 is out of the general. Kind of a smaller room. There was so much time on that virtual between commissioners, but we paid most of the bills, all we had then, so this is a lot smaller.
So moved on the voucher.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers to approve vouchers payable as presented. All in favor? Carried 5-0. Okay, we have some folks here that I think have a special interest, and if you please record, we can move down to item number 14 to discuss changing the speed limit on Rocky Mountain Road pursuant to local government code 251.154. That's item presented by, requested by Commissioner Sykes. There's a few other codes there we're going to have to be involved with. So go ahead, if you will.
I've been, since the CTERS project rebuilt the 1.8 miles of Rocky Mountain Road from Highway 16 past the commercial disposal well site and up the hill to the end where the old pavement ended. The road has been greatly improved. The road is a very fine stretch of county road now, probably some of the best road in the county. Looks like a farm to market. 26 feet wide, capable of handling the loaded trucks that it carries. We widened the bridge to make it safer because we knew the speeds would probably increase once we built this kind of thoroughfare, and indeed they have. One of the significant problems is that it's still attached to a gravel road at the end of that pavement. And I don't exactly know what the discussions were in 2008 when the speed limits were set on county roads in Young County. I wasn't here. But I'm I'm sure you had your reasons for putting it 35 miles an hour on that stretch of road. The road now is probably capable of handling a higher speed, but there's still some circumstances that we need to consider before we decide to change that. I have the world that are here to speak to that problem that had asked me to bring this before the court. So if you would, could you gentlemen please come up that'd like to speak? Sure. Come on up, Nick.
They were all pointing towards you.
Yeah. Choice. Bring them all up there, see there?
State
State your name for the record.
State your name.
Richard Sherriger. I live on the Rocky Mountain Road on Sherriger Lane, which if you don't know where that's at, it's about 5 miles down that 35-mile-an-hour road. And part of it is dirt, and our commissioner keeps up the road the best he can. I'm not complaining about that. It's just that I've been out there 18 years, and there's never been a speed limit set. I've never seen a sign out there in 18 years. And all of a sudden, we come up with a 35 mile an hour, and it seems like I travel it 3 or 4 times a day, and it takes me forever to get home. Forever. And going across some of that dirt road on the washboard, 35 just rubs you to death. I can't drink a cup of coffee coming in the morning. It just kills me. And I would be pleased if you'd consider changing it to at least 45. We have other roads that this runs into, McIntyre Road, there's no speed limit on it. So I assume the county road is, what, 50 miles an hour? 60 miles an hour? 60.
Unposted.
Well, we have, a lot of them drive that fast, but anyway, I would like to petition y'all to consider changing the road because I don't see any danger. You know, I've been out there all this time and not seen any kids playing in the road. All I've seen there lately is our sheriff's officer, the sheriff himself, highway patrolman stopping cars going down that road. And we're going to get so many tickets, we're going to lose our license. So we need to do something about it. So. And I appreciate Mr. South getting us on this meeting to hear our not complaints, but stress our problems. You know.
Can you say 45?
I think 45 would be fine. I mean, this just get us off or get the police off our case, you know. And I brought 2 other people to spread their opinion. So I call on them now. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, very good.
Next.
Well, I'm Darrell Weatherby. I own property at the end of Rocky Mountain Road, which is all the way to the far end. Thank you, Mike, for what you've done to that road. It's muchly improved, and we do appreciate it. Driving 35 miles an hour is pretty hard for me to do. I'm set the speed control, and it seems like I'm just sitting still. So I would request that we bump it up to 45. That's a comfortable speed, and it should be a safe speed. So thank you again for what you've done for us, sir.
Jacob Newdorf. I live 5.8 miles down Rocky Mountain Road, and I also want to thank you. I mean, this is probably the best road we've had on Rocky Mountain the rest of the way. But I would also, you know.
Could you spell your last name?
Neudorf.
Irish.
German. But I'm also, you know, 35 is slow for what we got on the distance we have to travel.
Okay.
Also, request the speed limit be raised as possible.
Is the speed limit, there's a speed limit on that posted?
It is posted. We posted it right after we did the road on the Seacoast project because we knew that the improved 26-foot wide hot top was going to entice people to enhance their speeds on that road, and we didn't want to see anybody get hurt on that road. We spent a great deal of time and money widening that bridge prior to the disposal wells so that cars wouldn't be eyeball to eyeball when they cross that bridge. And part of the problem now is those 3 or 4 small, narrow bridges at the bottom of the hill and around the curve. So I'm looking at that. I think we probably need to.
Is that on paved part?
It's on gravel part. And we all know when you shower down on your brakes on gravel, sometimes it's like being on ball bearings. You can't stop nearly as fast as you can on pavement. I'm sitting here remarking about McIntyre Road is not a bit better or worse than Rocky Mountain. It was set at 45 miles an hour. Now, I may tend to think McIntyre is too high, you know, for what it is. Because it's got a lot of curves, and it does get a lot of traffic coming off 380 back over to that area. So I think that we really do need to take your problems into consideration. I'd like to also get some more feedback from other residents out there, because we can't possibly make a decision like this based on your three gentlemen's request, even though they do bear a lot of weight because you came to court to voice those. I built a 60, 65 mile an hour road out there. Don't you drive that? You know, but that road will carry a lot of speed. It's only 1.8 miles. Once you come off of there and onto that pavement, speed is the same as traffic count so far as a gravel road is concerned. You tear up the road and you put that washboard in that road as you come to those curves, and you decelerate, accelerate, and that's where the washboard's coming from other than the dry weather. The road blows away as the rock gets crushed. We want to be able to keep plenty of white rock on the road so that you don't have mud problems, while at the same time we'll provide you the best driving surface possible. If that means mitigating the speed, we may have to mitigate speed. But if it can move to 45, we will move to 45 for you. But we need to take a really good look at it and what the rest of the residents say. As far as I know, Mr. New York, do you have children?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are they?
18, 21, 10.
Okay. Does the 18 driving that road a lot? You wouldn't worry about that 18-year-old driving 45 miles an hour on that road?
Sir, I would not.
On any part of it?
Any part of it.
Is the road straight?
No, sir.
Has it got
Curves, everything.
90-degree curves in it?
Yes, sir.
Is 45 appropriate around those curves?
Yes, sir.
But I think if you've got a 90-degree curve and you live on that road, you know that road.
Yes, yeah, no,
And I'm
slow
sure
down.
you have signs that
Well,
shows a 90-degree
And the
curve.
90-degree curve, I mean, a prudent driver knows going to negotiate that curve even if the speed limit is 45.
Right.
The problem is doing 45 and decelerating to 30.
Yeah.
You get around the curve and then accelerate down the curve, which is what makes the washboard. It's not the grader going too fast and jumping up and down, boys.
Oh, but here also, I would have to say, my kids learned how to drive on that road. They got their driver's license living out there, so that'd be different, like if you had somebody
Just coming out.
Right.
coming out there.
In town, to go out there first time.
Yes. that would be-
Well, I mean, like on one of my roads, like Evelyn Chapel, my speed limit is 45. But then when you get to like Fitzgerald, it does slow down, which is the better part of it.
Well, we might consider a
Yeah,
duplex speed limit
exactly.
on that road until you and I, Commissioner Pruitt and I are talking with the state currently, just initially started talking about a 404 mitigation plan to widen those bridges. And to be perfectly honest with you, those narrow bridges, right after you come off that pavement down that hill around those curves, is my primary concern. I've got a picture of one from both sides, about 150 feet from that bridge. And that curve, traffic is coming around it fast. You can't even see the dust behind the car because of the trees. And going towards town, you got the same problem with the car coming the other way. And that bridge will not hold two jacked up Dodge pickups going across at the same time. So I don't want to see anybody get hurt. The statute says that we should act in a prudent and conscientious manner in setting these speed limits. And we just want to make certain that we do that and we do it. So this is the initial step toward getting something done, be it to do nothing, to raise it all to 45, or do a multi-speed limit on that road in certain sections. But you, once again, I don't believe anybody has gotten a ticket yet, even written up for warnings.
Yes.
I think the whole program was to try to develop maybe some new driving habits on that road with that new pavement.
Yes, sir.
But I was a country kid too. I drove as fast as my car would allow me to. Heck, with speed limits, Wise County never had any speed limits either. And those posted speed limit signs, Dickie,
Yes, sir.
are a case of just time required to put that many signs on the roads. We put a sign up today, this time next month, it'll either be gone, ran over, or a hole shot through it.
That's what I was hoping it would be.
The stop sign down at the end McIntyre and Rocky Mountain got ran over and pushed into the ditch, so.
Yeah, that trailer house come through there.
I know all about it. So, yeah, there's a lot of speed limit signs. I started putting speed limit sign up on Flat Rock Road. One of the residents out there says, don't you dare put a speed limit sign up for me if you don't do it for every road in your precinct.
She has a point.
Okay? You know, right, but it doesn't, still, you'd have to agree with me that 60 miles an hour is too fast on Rocky Mountain.
Oh, I agree.
You know, and unposted speed limit is 60 miles an hour.
See, we've all know how to drive that road and live out there. Because we slow down those.
Yeah, I've seen you drive to
Of
sleep.
course, you know, we slow down, yeah, of course.
Because you spilled all your coffee going around.
We learned to stop some of the cars coming, you know. And we look out for that.
Well, as you know, all county roads are one-lane roads, the middle. Everybody drives in the middle till you meet somebody, then you pull up and let people pass. We've got to take into consideration everybody that has a driveway that enters that road out there the best we can. So I'm gonna do a neighborhood survey, drive by and talk to some folks. And this will be posted, open newspaper, we'll put it in there that we talked about this, and that the folks out there that are interested in it will. I've heard from a couple of people. Says, man, everybody out here is mad. That's what he meant about. We're getting stopped for speeding. Nobody's got a ticket yet. You know, they're just cautioning people that this is not a 60 mile an hour road. This is not a 45 mile an hour road. Right now, it's a 35 mile an hour road. So,
Are you promising to pay the rest of it?
Mr. Budar?
yeah, as soon as we get all that money.
You've been working traffic on that road?
Yes, sir, I have.
Chief Deputy Budar, you've been working traffic on that road?
Yes, sir, I have.
Have people been driving faster than the posted speed limit?
Yes, sir, they have.
Okay. Do you believe the speed limit is low on that particular road?
For the whole road, no, I believe it's set just right. Now, you know, I do hear people's complaints regarding the nice road we have for the 1.8 miles, but considering the amount of driveways that that portion of the road serves, and how many small children and stuff like that are on that portion of the road, I think it's reasonable. And if you set 35 miles an hour from 1.8 miles out, you know, they're still gonna have to drive 35 to there. So what's 35 miles an hour for 1.8? I mean, you're gonna slow the trucks down, you're not gonna tear the road up. I think it's reasonable.
That road just been posted since you,
Since we finished the C30 project. Frosting on the cake.
we didn't set speed limits on all of our county roads in 2000. I believe that was in April of 2008. And that was pursuant to 251, 151, 152, 161, 545, 355 of our transportation code. The limits that have been set are varied from 20 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour. This will be regarded, I think, as a traffic regulation. There'll have to be a public hearing with regard to that. Public hearing will need to be, or the order establishing a traffic regulation will have to be after notice is posted for the hearing, not earlier than the 7th day before the hearing, not later than the 30th day before the hearing. So between 7 and 30 days of the hearing, we'll have to post notice of proposed changes, and what they are and what the changes are to. Those are the steps that we'll have to go through to do that.
Thank you very much for the time. Dan, you need to say something?
I'm just here to,
Give us your opinion about it.
I'm just here to support whatever they said.
He gonna make a politician.
I told,
Be careful about Sheriff Sutherland.
I told Mr. Sherker when he called me that I had no problem with being 35, but I sure don't mind 45 either. So
What portion of the road do you live on?
I live down there in the
Next to me.
Sherringer, Tudor, Ford.
Yeah,
area.
to Fordville.
Yeah.
Well, consideration, we'll have to consider the residential area, how much of that road, how densely concentrated a particular area is, or residential.
It's not too dense in our area here.
I know, but I think there is one area that's probably.
There is, and it's in the first half mile of that road.
Was that entire road set as a residential area? I noticed on here that it says residential road.
Y'all do realize it's 35 downtown ground.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of kids coming out, a lot of traffic here.
35 though.
35. I have not seen a 30-mile-an-hour posted on the way up here. So 35 down
The
to
Prima
town.
facie speed limit in the city is 30 unless it's otherwise posted.
Well,
And likewise on the county road, that prima facie speed limit is 60 unless it is ordered to be set and is posted. It's not enforceable unless it's posted.
there was a deputy working traffic out there one day. and he
This is a
got-
gentleman right
No,
there.
it wasn't.
He's not the only one that's working.
It was Hill, and he got every darn one of us, but I'm proud to say that I had the lowest speed of all of them. In fact, he passed two messages on to me, one from Beverly Ford and one from my wife to meet, what time to meet for the marble game that night. But he got every darn one of them. And he was parked across from Kramer's. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's all I wanted to add, Judge.
Okay. Do we have any action to take on that with regard to this setting a meeting, or do you want to take this under consideration?
I'll take this under consideration.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
What does that mean?
What that means,
Will
we
we
gotta
ever
decide-
hear anything about it again? or what?
Well, we have to make a proposal to the public as to what we intend to do.
Uh-huh.
And at this moment, we don't know what we intend to do. You know, we've got a lot of things to take into consideration, what you gentlemen have just said, plus what the other folks who live on that road have said. When we have a public hearing, we'll hear comments about what it is we've decided to do.
Yeah, about the only action that we could take on this today would be to set a public hearing and then post notice within that time frame.
Does what we decide to do about that road, you have to go into the public hearing
Yes.
announcement?
I think
So we've got to decide what we're going to do. Which is, leave it like it is, raise it to 45, or have two different speed limits.
Or remove the signs completely. That's another
Go to
option.
60 miles an hour, right?
Well, we can do that.
I knew Dan.
Hey, that's right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have
Stay away from us out there, bud.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes, sir.
Abel. Have a second? Second. Wiley. Do you have specific dates and bring that up on the next meeting?
Just bring it up on the next meeting, let's set a hearing date on the next meeting.
That meeting's gonna be April.
I want to remind all of you too, though, that this is kind of a slippery slope.
Yeah.
We start changing speed limits on roads, we're not gonna have commissioner court meetings full of this kind of thing, so.
This is the first one I've heard of raising speed limit.
I know it's lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the dust.
Yeah.
I understand, well, they're gonna kick up a lot of dust, that road's gonna go away a lot faster. But I had a request for speed bumps the other day on the road. Stacy, you want to, he talked to you too, didn't he, Judge?
Yeah, I think you had that on the,
Linwood,
yeah, then,
you're a speed bump expert.
They really ain't that long.
speed bumps, you can't put speed bumps on, you can't put speed bumps on public roads. But now there are, you can do rumble strips.
Yes.
Provided.
You know what the city of Albany wanted up there, the health
So,
department?
some trips, they
Back also. Speed them up, slow them down. I don't know.
They're gonna speed regardless.
That's a rule, they're gonna do what they want to anyway. So.
Yeah, they're driving as fast as they can get by with. I know I do.
You actually got a speed limit sign on the highway.
As you come off 16, there's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And there's one as you come off McIntyre on the other end of Rocky Mill, 35 miles.
You can put speed limit signs up all day. People ain't always gonna abide by them.
Also, that signage has to meet the specifications in the municipal, in the, I can't remember what the name of that manual is, but it's the Uniform Traffic Control Device Manual.
The right height, right size.
So should I get a sign to say, may we suggest 35 miles an hour?
Hey.
Judge, I failed to mention something while ago.
MUTCD, Uniform Traffic Control Device Manual.
What'd you have?
It doesn't have anything to do with financial, but we've been working on getting out the 1095Cs for insurance, and it's been quite the challenge because we were partially self-insured all the way up through September and then October. So therefore, we had to go through and figure it all out, plus nobody really knows how it's supposed to work. But we do have, IRS included, especially with COBRA. That include retirees COBRA since we were self-insured. Anyways, we have them ready and we'll try to get them all to you all before you leave today for your precinct workers, and then we'll mail out the rest of them and hand them out in the courthouse. They have to be out by the 31st of March. And it was quite the undertaking.
These are just for their records to hold on to
Yeah.
in case.
That's what my next question was, what's it for?
It's
Then
just for
I'll
your
file it
records.
with your-
Check a box of your return.
Yeah, Mr. Record don't pay return.
And there's instructions on the back side of it. It's just,
This year was a guinea pig year, I think.
yes. And it was, I hope we don't have to ever do it
Take up
Well,
the
and
issue.
TAC will do it next year for you because
because they're our carrier, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take up the issue of traffic regulations, proposals, and a public hearing in the same court.
Are you guys writing warning citations?
April the 11th.
Some are writing warnings, some are doing verbal.
So there's no way to get a list of those people that you saw?
We can darn sure start doing it.
Okay, please.
Absolutely.
If it please the court, we'll back up one to item number 13. Jamie Lane and the district clerk's request for some alterations in her office.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well.
We spoke about this during my budget meeting on July 20th, and it was approved that I could use courthouse security funds to take the cabinet, or my countertop, all the way across so that I'd have an entrance and an exit, so people wouldn't just walk up to our desk. I do have two bids. One from Graham Custom Cabinets, and the other from Monty Johnson.
Okay, it looks like you want to extend the existing cabinet a little way and then create a
A passage
ADA
door and an ADA compliant counter.
counter.
So basically, we'll move the middle part, just make it straight through.
Well, we've already moved the middle part out. It doesn't extend all the way across. I've checked with the storage facilities. There isn't anything that we have in the county to extend it. And so that's when we thought we'd do the ADA compliant and take it all the way to the wall.
Okay, you're gonna have a little breezeway access door?
Yes, for the public to get in and out. You know, but it does create a little bit of security for us where people can't just walk up. They actually have to open a door, even if it is a half door.
Right. So it looks like you're going with Graham Custom Cabinet. About $2,000 cheaper, right?
Well, no, actually, they're just, with Graham Custom Cabinets, with a granite countertop, it's $2 cheaper than with Monty Johnson, with a laminate top.
That granite would outlast anything.
It would.
Well, yeah, it's easier to ride on, than
Yeah.
to run home. It's in our courthouse too. Make sure
How much you got in there, Jamie?
And this is,
For your funds?
Am I missing?
it wasn't discussed, the amount.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I remember all was for it.
No.
No, you told
Marty
me.
Johnson, his first bid didn't go all the way to the wall. It was just replacing the existing, or fixing the existing cabinet. And then he gave a second bid that gave the ADA compliant counter and door. So it is $2. His second bid was $5,085. Graham Custom Cabinets with the granite countertop is $5,083.
Maybe I don't have that.
Well, you have to have him,
Yes.
No, that's too
what you
bad.
do.
Oh,
We'll get them all together.
Because in the bottom there, it's either
I got it.
either or,
I got it.
and you're gonna be adding the countertop to the
They
granite.
didn't give a grand total on there.
That's why I was
They
messed
did
up.
not.
Yes,
I added on my own. For the laminate,
yes.
it's $4,520. For the granite, it's $5,083.75.
And there's only, what, $536 difference or $600 difference in granite and laminate.
Right.
So far as their bid.
Does the rest of our countertops have one? What's yours? Laminate top?
And that's what we have right now. It's a laminate with a wood edging. Monty Johnson said that he couldn't do the wood edging. It would just be a laminate countertop. I didn't ask for the granite. Grand Custom Cabinets gave that and said it would probably be, it would last longer, it would be nicer, it would look more professional.
My personal perspective there, those countertops in the county clerk can't be used less than those. They've been there a long, long time.
Right. I understand. It was an option.
So we're gonna, this is
Grand
add
Custom Cabinet
15 and then
is
1086.
the top one, 4,520.
Yeah,
The bottom,
$600.
5,083.75.
Yeah, they're not much different in price.
I of course would like to have the granite. I think it would look nice and
Well, the granite will be there from now on.
it would.
There'll be less maintenance because where you put that other, you're gonna have wood trim around it. If you put the granite on there, it's gonna be rolled over. That's all it's gonna be.
Right.
We have 15,216 in that courthouse security, and 10,000 is designated for the bailiff if we write a check out of there. So there's 5,216.
Have you got some money you can donate?
You know, I could probably, I couldn't find much in mine. We just purchased the new desk. I do have to buy the new, or not new, used. I'm gonna go to the auction in Fort Worth and get file cabinets.
Yeah,
But that shouldn't take too much.
probably $50 a piece or something.
Right.
You good?
They weren't very much.
We're just buying 6 or 7. And Kay, I think, had some file cabinets that she was going to give me.
You still want those other filing cabinets we have?
That would be great.
I think there's 4 of them.
1, 2, 6.
I may have enough in donations. Anyone else?
You need cabinets?
If I had room for some, I'd take some more.
Well, I think we're gonna do the cabinets too. It's got a $500 difference.
It's not that much difference. It's a lot far away. Far away. Plus it's gonna add some weight to that cabinet.
Yeah, it's gonna have to wait, the cabinet's gonna, somebody else is gonna want granite on their countertops.
No, not this courthouse.
No.
Well, I don't think that our office has been upgraded in years and years. I mean, we had a little square box where where we were stepping potential jurors in to get them to fill out paperwork.
Well, I'm part of the change. I'd stay with the laminate countertop rather than marble. The only difference that I'd do. I think that's needed. I think it's not, it's good. It's definitely reasonable request. And the need is there. We can do it out of courthouse security, and I think that is partially a security matter, partially a convenience
It
matter.
is. It's a little bit of both.
Do you know how they do this there?
We do not. And we had a juror not too long ago that was in a wheelchair, and it was difficult. I mean, we have a couple, they don't come through very often, but when they do, there's nothing we can do except for take them outside and give them a clipboard. And he was actually chosen for the jury, and there were no handicap spots
In the jury box.
in the jury box. So,
Need one of them to be able to remove it when it's out of the way, if we should put him up there, maybe on the front row or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Put a ramp right there. Yeah. He comes up on this one, the other side.
Well, I'll move that we move forward with this program with ground cabinets, utilizing the laminate countertop. If I don't get a second, I declare this motion failed for lack of a second. Is there any other one?
How much difference is ground cabinet?
There's $600 between your,
$564.
between the laminate and the marble.
I know, be aware.
No.
No.
Then that's something they just bring up in their budget.
You know, that's something that they,
And we can
if they
deny
want,
it
if they want that in their office, then they can do without something
Right.
else in there to make it work. But
That's just gonna be.
we're not gonna
silly
penalize
on their
somebody,
part.
somebody wants to do something a little different.
I think the laminate countertops lasted, well, I've been here 36 years. They were here before I was, long before I was.
Oh, I think they'll
Sometimes
last.
they're a little bit loud when you snap
Right.
them.
I think they'll last for a long time, but I think the granite will look better.
It would.
That's fine.
I'm entertaining the motion, so I'm ready for a motion.
You ready for the motion? So, I'll make the motion that we go with the granite countertop, because your motion failed.
Yeah, I'm.
So I'll make a motion that we go with the granite countertops and go with granite cabinet, granite custom cabinets.
That's ground cabinets with a marble countertop.
great.
Granite.
I'll take a marble.
And that was 5,083.
8375.
Is there a second?
I'll see.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Pruitt, second by Commissioner Wiley to allow district clerk to move forward with plans regarding the alterations in entry and the countertop in her office, utilizing bed Graham cabinets with granite countertops.
Thank you.
All in favor? Carried.
That's 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. We got one abstain voting on that matter. Make note of that, will, please, clerk. That's a 4-0 vote. And that's to be paid out of courthouse security, by the way. Add that. Okay, that was item number 20. Yeah. Here to item number 8, discuss, consider vehicle lease, buyout options, sheriff's office, constable vehicles.
We have 4 vehicles that are coming up with a balloon note. And so I asked Billy and Jim to come in and talk to y'all about some different options. 2 of them are the constable vehicles and 2 of the sheriff's department vehicles.
Okay, we have Billy Hughes here.
Morning, it's good to see everybody again. Encouraging educational meeting. I thought all speed limits were just a situation, so.
That's what you tell the officer when you're sorry.
Basically what I did on this is, we've got 4 vehicles up right now, 2 for the sheriff's office and 2 for the constables. You see the buy horse purchase and then what it was for the upfit and the dog fees on some of those. The 2 constable vehicles had a $7,000 down payment added to them. You can see the total amount of payments. These are the balances that are due. That's as of today. Now, just below the box, see the lease end date. This is actually when the 36-month lease is due, which for the 2 constable vehicles is actually due back on the 11th. And then for the 2 sheriff's vehicles, the 36 months is actually due in June, which is a little bit different than what the actual paperwork showed. The actual paperwork shows the payments were, the balloon notes were due in December. When those were refinanced and the interest rates were lowered, it changed all the balances lower and it also extended those back out. To give an idea of what's available out there is what's listed below. Those are potential vehicles. These are the quotes we just received on other vehicles that we've done for different counties and cities. The F-150 Crew Cab 4x4 for $31,300. The Ford Explorer is an all-wheel drive, that's a utility. This is a police pursuit rated, it's $26,866. If you want the EcoBoost added onto it, it's $30,000.
Or is that total cost?
That's total cost.
Okay.
3,200 additional.
Yes, sir. The Chevy Tahoe, and then the Dodge 1500 SSV 4x4. You can see that if you look up here at the top with the, especially with the sheriff's vehicles, 18,261 and 22,266. Those are Tahoes. You see there's been a considerable increase in the cost. Part of that's just due to Chevy just trying to take advantage of the market share they have. It's a good vehicle. The resale values are very high. We've seen across the board.
Is that really $18,000 for a new?
Yeah. That's what which surprised me. That's what the cost was back when we did those.
Because that wasn't four-wheel drive.
No, no.
And that was the price difference.
Yes, sir. Those are all buy board prices. And like I said, these are all quotes we just received in the last probably 60 days for different vehicles. Sheriff's outfits, again, it's so hard to say. I just put a range on there because every office is different about what they want in the vehicle or what they want.
Right, and piggybacking off that, the last couple times we've gotten new vehicles, we've gotten new equipment with vehicles. This go around, we're going to be able to reuse the majority of everything that was installed. For example, The last two upfits we did came to a total of $20,386. This go round for two vehicles, now this is ballpark, should cost in the neighborhood of $7,500 for both. So that's $37,888 for vehicles. So that's cages, consoles, and grill cars.
So you're saying strip everything out of the one we've got now?
Yes,
Reinstall them in the news.
Right.
Right, I mean, but if we can reuse the consoles, great. If we can't, I mean, that's why I said it's an approximate.
Do y'all do that, Jim? Or just send it out?
I would prefer to send it to the place when the new vehicle arrives, just so they can process it.
Have you ever checked with that mobile phone? They used to do that stuff.
Still do.
Are they cheaper than?
Not usually. It's more efficient, it's a little bit cheaper to do it where they purchase the equipment, where they do it. But mobile phone does do a good job on it. They just did a couple for us for another city, but,
Now, being that we're just swapping over, they might actually be cheaper.
Right, that's what I was
It's
wondering.
less of a drive too, depending on.
Yeah, no kidding.
This kind of came about, if I may, we've got the two 2012 pickups that are in need of replacement. But the 13 Tahoes are coming up on lease, and they're still fine, low mileage, 80,000 on one and 50 on the other. Is that-
Put mileage on pickups.
I didn't think to look, I'm sorry. But the Ford pickups, they're falling apart. They're just not meant for this kind of work. We've had really good luck over Chevy Tahoes and the Chevy pickups. So this go around, I'd like to try a Chevy truck if we could. I've got a quote from Reliable for 55.6 for two lease package Chevy trucks, four-wheel drive.
Reliable, the other ones that white rider.
yes. You've used them, we used them before?
Richardson.
Oh, no, I was thinking of one in white rider.
Here's the
White
quote by
Rider.
Sherman, passing around.
Yeah.
This was what
I've used them.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, that's what they give to the Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah, we use Reliable lights.
Yeah, let's go around for the Tahoes as well.
This is Dallas. Richardson, Dallas.
The one out of White.
A lot of those dealerships have
Caldwell.
Chevy,
Caldwell.
Ford,
Right.
so a lot of different.
But that's a long way.
The Fords haven't,
Caldwell,
yeah.
Fords haven't held up for us.
I would say stay with the pickup, so.
And that's our goal is, since we had two in the fleet, and just keep two on the street. Because
If you kind of look at your oil field truck traffic, I think you'll find that Chevys and Dodges dominate. A lot of people have them over Fords.
And if y'all aren't pleased with Chevy's price, I would like to look at the Dodges. They've got some neat add-ons.
We need anyone to probably.
I think the Chevys hold up better on it. I mean, that's all we got is Chevys.
We've seen a better, as far as residual value and holding their value, Chevy
Yes.
does a much better job of
Way
that.
better. Absolutely.
But I would like to have, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, have all 6 patrol vehicles that are on the street all the time on a rotation on leases. Right now, we only have 4 out of the 6, so we're stuck now with these vehicles that need to come.
How would you
offline.
suggest we incorporate the other two?
That's why we're here.
How would you suggest we incorporate the other two?
Easiest way is if you get into the cycle, if you've got 6 vehicles going, if you do 2 every year, you just get into a cycle where it's done. That's really where you start getting ahead on doing a lease purchase, is by staying in the program and by taking these vehicles, even though they don't have a whole lot of miles on them, and going ahead and trading them out, because the main fact that they don't have a lot of miles is where you're gonna get the value.
Increase
back,
value.
which gives you more money to put down as a down payment. And that's why the system works, and that's why it's beneficial to be in the lease program. But in order to make it work, you have to keep going through the cycle.
But every year you'd be trading in a 36-month-old vehicle.
Correct.
But the fact is, though, we got 2 of them, 50 and 80,000 on. But we've got 2 pickups we're gonna get to trade on that we've got high mileage on.
Right.
So would we be ahead, though, if you need to do something with them 2 vehicles with high mileage on, put them on the rotation. And then later on, go ahead and pay these off and go on maybe The 7,000,
7,000.
85, 15.6, you know, you're looking at 2.
Is there any way to go longer on the leases, maybe a year longer? That way, for all 6?
That is another way, there's 2 different ways of doing it. One, you could just go do 4 vehicles this cycle. So you trade in those 2 trucks along with the 2 Tahoes. So that way you start off and just do 4 vehicles this cycle. So you don't have the 3 and 3 or the 2, 2, 2, you're doing 4 and 3, which is gonna put you 1 year out where you don't have anything coming up. The other way is if you just extend these out for a year, do the 2 trucks, and that gets you back in the 2, 2, 2 cycle.
Which is 2 cycles, I had to do 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of
2.
You know, you spread it out further than what we're doing.
Now he missing a year and then he cycle.
Right.
And that way
What do you,
We can ask the forecast.
what are you thinking on those Tahoes? What are you thinking the difference would be on trade value versus?
How many miles we put on the year?
50 now, so.
Well, you got one that's 3 years, you got 80, and one that's got 50, so you're not talking that many miles.
Right. So you're not gonna
one
see a
works harder
big.
than the other.
One supervisor, one.
Actually, the case.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
You're not gonna see a big decrease. For instance, I know that just this past week, we're looking at Tahoes on Manheim. Manheim is a nationwide auction service, and they have different places, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Lubbock, but just in Texas, but they're all across the nation. So we were looking on there over several different things, and there is a Tahoe that had 80,000 miles that was being sold for $17,900. Now, we don't put that on here as a value because we stay conservative just to make sure that we're in a position of leverage when it comes back up to where you have money that you can apply towards the next down payment. But it's not gonna change that much from 50 to 80. It might change $3,000 or $4,000 maybe, but you're not gonna see a big decrease in value for that. So extending it out a year and doing the 2 trucks, that wouldn't be an issue, as far as I can see.
So what we'd do is just take that ending balance for the next
Right.
payment with what it'd be.
Yes, sir.
We could do that in the new budget year.
Do that in the budget.
Say December, January.
Even to February and March, really. Just leave it in through March, it's a due in March right now, or on those it's due in June, but you can do it in March. Yeah, it doesn't matter to us on payment wise, that's another thing, we're very flexible on payments because we want to put it in a situation where y'all have your tax money coming in. Whatever we need to do to make it easier for y'all is where we're at.
Well, both the constable picked up, they got very.
Yeah, well, Billy, wasn't it around 20,000?
Yeah.
I mean,
One was 23 and the other was 28, it's just very low. Which is gonna be, I mean, talk about having a good resale value. So you're kind of, on with these constable vehicles, again, low mileage is a benefit to y'all because you're gonna get a higher value, which means you're gonna have more money to apply to the next payment.
So what do you think them 2 vehicles would bring? With 20,000 miles?
I can tell you that I had a Tahoe that was 4-wheel drive that had 33,000 miles on it, but we got 21,000 for it. We're talking about a truck, a 4-wheel drive truck, nice tires, everything looks good on them, and they're great vehicles, in good shape, 20 plus.
and the constables aren't full-wheel drive.
You
They're
can-
not 4-wheel.
So
I've looked at a used Dodge and they were over 30.
Again, I
I'm
go
telling you.
conservative, I go conservative on mine.
Well, I could come more seeing on those 2 constables if you trade them for brand new, and we do it for like 5,000 or so.
I think you're gonna, if you look at the values that you had on the last ones, the payments that you had were less than $5,000. That's because you put $7,000 on them. You're gonna get a lot more than $7,000 above this residual. So your payments will be.
You're gonna keep building the equity up there, that's the whole key.
And they have the equipment, I think all their equipment's good if it would just transfer over to another vehicle.
Majority will, especially if they want, and those
Why
are the
wouldn't
ones
we
that.
just pay those constable vehicles off?
And that's an option too.
You can, and that is an option, but you're gonna.
Yeah, just use them for the
use it. Or you could take the value, take the money. That's the thing is, in order to make the lease program work, I mean, it works because you get a lower amount, because you're not paying for the full amount because of residual. But where it really comes back in, especially when you have low mileage, is when you trade them in and get that value back. That's where it really pays off.
Equity is working as an L bank.
Right.
But they're never gonna have real high mileage on those two,
Right.
because they're not out patrolling like.
Right.
What hurts that though is whenever you start getting years on it, that's when you start to value. You may be low mileage, but your value's gonna decrease.
Right. Absolutely. Being 3 years, for instance, my truck that my personal truck that I got 5 months ago is a 2014, but it only has 17,000 miles on it. But I paid 36,000 for it. So but if that had been a 12 with only 17,000 miles on it, I've been down in the 20s. So you're right. Even though you have low mileage, the further you get out from that year.
Age starts to play.
Because I have a 15 and had.
Because when those banks are
19,000.
financed.
Well, the problem is, on bankers, on anything, it doesn't matter. If it's low mileage, if it's 5 years or older, then that's less money.
26,072.
You know, you got to pay cash for something like that, or find another, cash to own, ride vehicle place, you know, to pick up the owner financing.
Right, and you're in a strong position right now because you're in a position where you do have low mileage, you are gonna get good value back on it, so that you're able to do what you want to do. It's a lot better than being in a position where you have high mileage and you're worried about just getting to your residuals, which is where some other people have been. Y'all are in this position of power right now, and it's gonna work to your benefit. It's just, now you gotta determine which way you wanna take it.
Well, the way I look at it, we're already at the threshold on the one Tahoe with 80,000 bucks. You got 30 more thousand miles on that one Tahoe before you get to that threshold. You know, so there's not that big of a difference in that. Some parts think, hey,
Yeah, but with the balloon note due on the constable vehicles, and then the others coming up in June on the other two.
Right.
We definitely need to kind of make a decision, at least on the constable vehicles.
Which is why we're here, and just kind of see which direction y'all want us to proceed with.
let's see what the difference, I would think, see what the difference would be and we'll get down the value and trading wise.
So I can go and I can pull a bunch of different values for their trucks. That's the only man I.
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. I'll get that back.
Find out what the difference in the trade-in versus, because all it's gonna be is changing our equipment out, swapping the pro cost.
Hopefully. Majority of it should. There might be some that won't, but for them, they don't have a whole lot put on theirs anyways.
It's just a radio.
Right.
The
Light bar and the radio.
Yeah.
And usually some brackets, if you're staying with the Dodge, which is what they want to do, usually just brackets as far as changing gears. So that should be no problem.
And I think Tommy's doesn't have the bubble up top, only Freddie, so his are all on the windshield.
By doing that now, if we go ahead and do it now, the next time we come up, it's gonna be a pay for a vehicle. All we're gonna have to be doing is just doing the trade on it. The trade.
So one more
It's
time.
gonna be a pay for a vehicle.
Right, correct.
And all it'll be just a trade, just something to pay.
Right.
Is that a problem going out a little further on this with that balloon note due in March?
No, if we need to extend it till, I can get y'all some numbers for the next meeting. It's not a problem extending that a little bit. It changes interest, but that's,
Get the numbers for the next meeting, and in the meantime, find what Chevrolet difference is in both of them. This is what would be in there. Because that's something we're gonna have the numbers on, we'll cover that for our budget season too. But you need to see what the difference will be.
2015 and 80.
Plus, you know, if we keep these two right here, and go ahead and get them other two changed out, that would be the thing, we look at for one more year on them. But you're not gonna make any difference.
Yeah, just like, one is bigger tires. Yeah. Keep this out.
We just go ahead and put the payment, be done.
On the constables.
How much interest you talking about?
You're talking about per diem, a couple dollars, if you're gonna extend it out 2 weeks just to make a decision, it's not very much. In fact, I wouldn't even think about raising it, just, the value that we have on there is 3 today, and we won't change that, we'll just leave that 3 today.
Well, what we would do is, in my opinion, what we would do is take that payment, and let that be our down payment on the difference. And if it's enough to pay it off, or if it's enough to be close to it, then we do it that way. What do y'all think?
It's good, especially the fact that
Yes.
That's payment.
Yes.
For 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
They'll give us the data we need to make the decision.
No.
No, you don't. You offer not to.
No.
That's $56.
Still like, I'm not gonna do
He
it.
shouldn't, we give them a lot of money. They should be very nice to us.
Just because we like it, I'm not gonna do that. But that's the payoff to today, what was put on there. We'll leave that to the next meeting.
Okay.
We'll issue on that. I'll get the values for the different mileage.
On 11th, and then we'll have that, we'll make a decision on them two, and then look at them other three.
Yeah.
Get the mileage on the board, and figure out from that point there.
Is that what you got, two Fords?
2 Ford pickups that are, yeah, they're not the very one.
I wish there was so much
Motion table for our April the 11th meeting. Mr. Pruitt?
I'll second
All in favor?
Can I make a motion for a 2-minute recess?
Yeah, please, I need to make it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I give you a call?
Yes, sir.
They'll sign everything else except for that.
Hey, please. You all here still want to stay? 14 Rod gave 10 minutes to talk to us. Okay, you want to go ahead and get started? Pretty much what you're doing over here. All right, appreciate it, guys. You know which way you have to reach out here for roads.
Oh, great.
You can hear them.
So this
That's not right. Try to make your own man.
Oh, is that where all the gray hair's coming from?
That's what right here coming in, what's coming out.
Come here this weekend, get falling on my lap. Hey,
Do you think that the PD would loan us their trailer?
that's what I'm thinking.
For
Yes, they
the
would.
speed survey, and a lot of times those trailers, even when they're off, they're still recording data.
I think Tony White will.
Thank you, Lynn.
Where's yours? Is it grass on t-shirt?
No, it's far too big. Because I could sit and do this and then sling it off.
So your Schwartz is bigger than mine.
You know they're making a sequel. It's called Spaceballs 2, Quest for More Money.
Sign NASA.
Is it still on?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Your lovely wife said she's going to mineral wells. And pass that along to you.
She's gonna remember the well first, reason?
Make sure. I said,
Oh,
pick me up.
Merle Norman.
Yeah. I said, pick me up something nice.
Master, you want us to give notice to all these folks?
Yeah, you had offered to do that. Would you like to do that, send the judges and the sheriffs, what have you, notice?
We'll notify all the other counties. Ladies.
Go ahead and send the senator and the representative one also. Yeah, be great. For the meeting in jail, MHMR. It started with him and Eric Brown at the jail. They said they'd like to talk to everybody in one room, so we're gonna get them all in one room.
Okay, we'll post those, I think we'll have to post that.
Apparently people thought you were trying to be little, but I didn't think it that way.
We'll have to post it.
The hard reports, but I didn't.
No, it wasn't at all.
It depends on how fast the clerks get their reports done. They have to get their
I just say
bank
one time though,
statements.
I mean, it's gotta be a complicated situation.
And if you're off a penny, it will take you 3 weeks to find a penny if somebody received it in wrong.
I've been there, done this, never, yeah.
I didn't think it that way. but
I have
everybody-
fiduciary responsibilities with State Farm Corporation, they got a hell of a lot more money than the county.
Yeah, I know, so I didn't.
I wasn't at all, I was just asking for information.
I didn't think it that way, but
You know, good.
apparently,
Who took it, Cheryl?
no, not Cheryl.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking for information. Full way I've got to get the information is asking questions.
Oh, yeah, and then we had delays with the end of the year because we couldn't get its balance because they wrote some stuff and then backdated it and then voided it. And then we had to wait for the cycle to run through because of the way it was posted.
Yeah. Kind of checks.
Yeah.
No, I was just asking for information. Now I know, so, you know. I'm not surprised by any of those dates or anything.
Well, I've had those ready, but they didn't.
Well, I heard you say that I have a current. I said, well, if you've got a current, why don't we have a current?
Oh, no.
But I was hearing the word current. It was a different kind of current.
They can't do it anymore than current.
But it wasn't hadn't been balanced or anything. She had raw numbers, not a report number.
There's a lot of things in my office that nobody knows how to do.
I can imagine.
We got quarterly
Lots of little
reports coming
fingers
up,
sitting
and
there.
you get about 2 weeks to get the quarterlies, and it depends if the clerk doesn't get her reports to me, we can't process them, and then we have to comprise it all and send all the money to the state.
Well,
You came in and saw how that works
See,
that
the
day.
problem with this is we're a pass-through for the state, we're doing all the state.
We're
work.
just here working for the state. That's
You
right.
know, the small, minute portion we get to keep, far not near enough to outweigh what it costs.
And as commissioners, we're responsible for all this money too, and I'm just asking, how are you handling your part
If I
of
don't
it?
get the reports in.
You can't do it.
No, we don't get any money.
You're the pipeline.
At the same time, though, there's not any checks coming.
Understand?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
You ask them, well, how much you supposed to send them?
Should have said we'll
This guy's dead, and he goes, look.
You're more current than he is.
Well, in their formula, if this case came through your court before 1973, but if this is what it is, if it came through.
Different
between-
schedules.
Yes, and then people are, didn't come out and start paying their fees.
So you gotta check all those schedules.
Well, you just gotta round it up, there's no way you could go back.
I'll
and
just
find-
get it ballpark.
Yeah, and that's all they want, because
And they don't care if it's right or wrong, as long as it satisfies them.
I was ahead money.
Well, and the problem was, a lot of the clerks were paying off one fee on a person that was on a roll or something, and then these other programs weren't being funded because they were trying to pay off this one fee
Yeah.
before they went to the next. Now they want, you may have 2 cents here, 3 cents here, $5 here, $4 here, if they paid $25.
You don't have to have enough time in the day, and it wouldn't be
But we
prudent to spend that money looking for it.
So, but it kind of comes out to it, you wonder, it's kind of.
Swag me.
And then you gotta flip your little sheet over and times, well, you got 1.007%, and the county keeps this much.
Oh, wow. For all that work you just did?
But most times it's in pictures, the one fees that goes to the longevity pay for the DA, and they collect $15 on every event. And then we get to keep $1.50, but we have to, they have to collect.
You do all the work for
They
it?
bring the checks up, we have to deposit them, receipt them all, and then, for the.
I learned something every time I ask a question. No.
Yeah, thanks to Tampa, we figured out how we had to do those, because the data had it in our system where it showed one A as the code, but since the county provided
No,
the
it's still
insurance for the
kinda
employees,
tricky.
it was one. Really?
Yeah,
But
because
a
not
code
always
person
awake.
has to pay.
So like when I
their
wrote
portion.
just then,
So it doesn't,
like,
code is one G, so
like
some
a third
people
of
are
it
one
is
A
a
or
sensation.
one B, and then
So it's like
put
you
one
run
G
your
for the
finger
rest
and
of
you
them.
can swap your
And then have to put how much
Gotta
they
wait
pay in trouble. And then try to get them on the forms where they can print it out correctly.
I can do that. Have I got time to make a copy?
Yes.
I'll go do that.
Looks like everybody's kind of scattered.
Good. I can't imagine though if they tried to edit though, to audit the whole United States with those forms. I don't even know where they're gonna house all those forms.
What farms?
Those 1095C things for the government, for the Obamacare.
Because they added a boatload of
They haven't
cars.
thought about that part.
People.
Yeah, they'd have to have a block, a building a block wide and long to put those papers in.
No bureaucracy.
It's just mind boggling.
They think they're big.
Yeah. I know the Senate employers just say they'll just pay the fine them and then have to fill out the paperwork.
I can do it up there, I'll have to go in there and take it to her anyway, so.
I don't think we signed that yet, did we?
No, but she hasn't signed your reports anyway, so I'll have to take that to her too, so.
So these are just two-wheel drive, they're not four-wheel drive. It says right here, it's four-wheel drive. See what it says right here? Two-wheel drive. It's four-wheel.
Do you want a copy of that?
No. It's for me to find.
They call it a four or two-wheel drive price.
Oh, let me get my thing here. It's here, I've got it to take to you when I take her out. Oh, we'll sign, you'll sign. You're gonna have to sign these other things too, so.
Maybe you'll
I
forget
just
that
want your ear.
you're gonna be out of order, so.
You're out of order, Kate.
Out of order.
Again?
You want me to bring them all to you?
Still?
Sometime. Yeah, we'll get it, when we get ready to leave, we'll stop over there and I'll stop and initial it. We're good. I know.
Yeah, two. Two or three.
Definitely what we're gonna do is.
Yeah, two here.
Oh. Go live in Marble Mountain.
Would be a good idea. Look for
Get it done. This is the one I did for Ken.
She actually was really sad. This is where my copy.
You tell Aaron. Anyways. Always some
I think
kind of
it does.
malfunction. Yeah, the Irish. Maybe that one has to be out somewhere.
You can fix them in a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. But that's all down. Just saying.
Okay, it's 5 minutes after 11, we're back in session. Young County Commissioners Court, regular meeting. Item number 9, I believe, is where we're to, and that's consider employee bond for Carolyn Sue Honeywell in the tax assessor collector's office.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pruitt, second by Commissioner Wiley, to approve that deputation and bond. All in favor? Carried 5. That's in the amount of $5,000. Item number 10, consider requesting distribution of unclaimed property capital credits for counties, local, and that's pursuant to local government code 38104 and the property code section 74602. We did this, I don't know, it's been 2 or 3 years ago. Cooperative electric companies are responsible, or that's where that money comes from, and it's collected into the comptroller's unclaimed properties division, and periodically they send us notice that we have unallocated amount available there, but we have to request that. I think you'll find in your package a request form. I have filled out, haven't submitted yet.
You don't say the amount?
No, it didn't disclose the amount any.
I think there is a website that you can go on to tell you exactly what it
My
is.
property website. But they give you a notice, I don't know, we didn't do this, I don't believe we did it last year, but I believe the year before, maybe. And those cooperatives, that's where that money comes from. I don't know how necessarily that it gets there, but it gets in the unclaimed property division, and the comptroller gives you notice, or gives us notice periodically when there's an amount there that they distribute. And they didn't disclose what that amount was.
So moved.
Got to make it by request.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Just like having a mailbox.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wiley and a second by Commissioner Sykes to request our capital credits due that's in the comptroller's unclaimed property accounts. All in favor? Carried 5-0. And there's specific uses for that. I think the last time that we utilized that, we did that for the benefit of Child Advocacy Center, I believe. And it's listed, I think I listed it here. Yeah. There's general rules, general use of capital credits. Item number 11, discuss and consider easement, right-of-way easement for Encore Electric Delivery Company LLC regarding the new project center. You'll see in your packet, there's a plat there where there's a request for an easement from Craig Street westward, I guess that direction would be, about to the end of the property line. I don't know why, it's all on, that's all on.
It's almost going to Carroll Street.
Excuse me?
It goes almost to Carroll Street.
It comes off Carroll Street, it'll come from Carroll Street.
Or comes from Craig to Carroll.
Around that, so,
Yeah.
usually, yeah.
Comes from Craig to Carroll.
From Craig, west.
Not gonna be quiet to Carol.
It won't go quite to Carol, but the way it looks here, it stops.
You just looking at 700 foot there.
Yeah, that should be Highway 380 rather than 67.
That's probably true, yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that's just a misnomer there on.
Are they,
the plan.
okay, so their line is on the correct side of the road, they won't be boring and cutting the road?
No, it'll be overhead.
Okay.
It's,
That line is over, I guess that's the west side of Creek Street.
Is that broken blue line right there, is that the overhead line?
Yeah. I would- Yeah, no, that's the existing power line.
That's existing power line is on the west side of Creek.
And those, these
Right there.
Yeah, go down the west side of Craig Street, the right of way is gonna be over on,
West
all
side.
on the, arena property, not the project property. But
No, it's not.
That's where they're requesting, is
20 foot wide.
20 foot wide, going to the west, I guess, 700 feet. They chose that location, I think, because of the future expansion of the RV hookups that they intend to do back there. Let's suggest that's the most proper location for it. I don't know why we'd have any problem with it.
As you read this easement, they cover themselves on everything.
I mean,
From the cutting of the trees, to the moving of the trees, to the piling of the trees, to the doing any kind of herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, I mean.
we can't do anything on it unless we get their permission.
Well,
Let's see, we can cross it, we can drive over it, we can use it to graze off of.
It says grantor shall not make changes in grade, elevation, or contour or impound water without prior approval.
this comes west from
Just 20 foot.
Yeah, just the 20 foot.
Yeah.
Brandon, Anderson. Anderson, he's lived there.
Brandon looked at it and lived with it, I can too.
I don't know why we have any necessary problem with it.
I'll second that. You gonna second?
I'll second.
Okay, you second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Sykes, second right? And a second by Pruitt.
Just let Pruitt do it.
Let Pruitt do it.
To authorize right-of-way easement to Encore Delivery, Electric Delivery Company. All in favor? That's 5-0. Okay. I believe that brings us down to number 13. Consider appointment and recommendations on appointment to the Young County Child Welfare Board as you find in your packet. That's Jill Casey and Dr. Aaron Purdy.
So moved.
Second. Give that. Stacy.
Second. We've got a second? I'll second. Got a motion by Commissioner Pruitt, second by Commissioner Rogers to appoint the recommended members to the Young County Child Welfare Board. That is Jill Casey and Dr. Aaron Purdy. All in favor? Carried. 5-0. Okay, item number 15, discuss, consider Wichita Falls inmate contract. Got, I think, both of at least got one contract. And I think one open. One revised, one open. Got those, I think, on here. Sent those out to you. See highlighted in the yellow, the proposed changes as you requested. to alter any part of that, you know, like, skew on that a little bit.
So you're still at the 3750?
No, I haven't put anything in the, I guess a blank in the.
Yeah, I saw the 3750, I saw.
Yeah, that's all I see is a
Yeah,
3750.
they said 50's in
That's why I said that, because it says it on here. So what you proposing now?
Well, as I calculated, our 2015 fiscal year cost per inmate day at $46.74. That's my calculation, somebody else might come up with something a little differently.
Pretty close to what you calculated in a hurry, the budget here, so.
$46.74. So, you know, I don't suggest that we do that below our cost, and I'm probably thinking 47 and a half, or something like that.
I think that's probably, that's what I was gonna say, $3 or $4. So 4750.
Whatever y'all want.
That's $10 more than what they were on.
But right now, with our jail population and our labor cost are fixed, I mean, at that gap right there, so it costs us labor.
More
Well, that's
food and water.
that's a figure that's an ever moving target. All you can do is figure it out for a month, or figure it for 6 months or a year, because it's a day, it'll change each month on count.
Who would you fix it?
A little bit, it may not be substantial.
Everybody else get the ball for it.
Weren't you saying, John, that this judge, that this was set 3750 how many years ago?
That was in 2010. I believe one contract with Wichita was 10, and the one in Stevens County was in 8, I believe. And they were each 37 and a half.
Just taking inflation into account, it'd be closer to 3.
I think we ought to take into consideration, see what you can do in the surrounding county, Jack County, Alabama, some of the counties surrounding, within the range of what Wichita Falls is. So you could get an idea of where they can drive and get, because if you go over what they can go and drive to, then you're gonna lose.
So you're talking about Will Barger and some of those counties?
Yeah, I don't know if Will Barger has.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can look at some of the counties, they're just not gonna be big enough to hold
No,
overflow.
no, Stevens County is not big enough.
I don't think Alabama County's big
They're not big.
enough.
But we can get an idea, I think you can do it on your listserv, and you say, you can get on there, get a ballpark figure of what's being paid out around us.
2 or 3 that I've inquired of were a little uncertain about just exactly what their cost was, but those that did have some contracts ranked about $35, $40.
So 3750 is in the ballpark.
It is, right now, I sure don't suggest that we do that.
Did they make any comments about needing
Lower
to,
cost.
did they make any comments about needing to revisit their contracts?
No, they didn't say anything like that, but nobody was housing any either, just very few. They just didn't have any
Of course,
contracts that they had.
of course, I'm kind of like what Stacy says, you know, we got a fixed cost, whether we've got 5 people in there, or if we've got 105 in there, we've got a fixed cost.
That's the way it's staffed.
You know, the only thing that would change, your electric bill's not gonna change, your heating bill's not gonna change, your water bill will change a little bit, but your food,
Food costs is what's.
you know. But as far as having your employees there, your insurance, all those other fixed costs, that's not gonna change, that's irrelevant to me.
The only way anything would ever go up, I guess, if you went
If you go over and had to hire another person.
48 or.
What it cost during the fiscal year 15 was $46.74 by my calculation.
With the population, yeah.
On the average of what, 80? Average of 8.
Our average daily count was 74, I believe.
74.
And that was your whole
The
year.
more prisoners you have, you're gonna have more damage to the cells, and
You would
more
think.
fights, and more
Because you're gonna get,
reasons to isolate prisoners, and more,
we're gonna get Wichita County sweethearts,
yeah.
so we're gonna be really destructive.
Well, with this new contract though, that,
That'll have, that's kind of a little bit determined by the sheriff, though. The sheriff doesn't have to take off anything that they will send.
He can pick and choose, too.
Yeah. If you're gonna send us some, you're gonna send us some. They're gentlemen.
Well, I think
On the road.
when this went on, when they had to evacuate, that's what they told them. We don't want any problem people, no.
So they've got a part to play in that contract too. What we've got, our part to play in that is, what it costs us to house them and what we'll charge kids. That cost, it's not probably gonna fluctuate a whole lot from that up to the 96 persons that we're staffed for. If we bounce over that, about 2, go to 98 or 99, and have to hire additional help, that cost is gonna go way high, and then as you add people to that.
Fill that gap before it comes back.
You break that down to
But I know other counties send us, because we got a murder from Marshall County, a murder from Jack County, we have one from Will Barker County, we have 3 murders subjects up here, how much of that?
yeah,
So they're sending us the rough ones like that. So
why put them in sex sale?
Yeah. But I know Wichita did because they told them, we're doing this as a favor, we don't want any problem.
Okay.
But as long as it's in there, they pay for damages, because we used to have that in Shackelford County, lots of damages.
Let's move we take this.
Yeah, until we find out a little more information.
Okay, well, is there provisions in there that you like to change or alter, see?
I see everything seems to be looking good.
Yeah, I think this is the money.
All we need to do is figure out that 3750's in the ballpark.
We could probably go 40 or 41 and still be in the ballpark. See where everybody is.
I mean, this may be a wrong statement, I don't know, but I think if we're housing people for other counties, I don't think we should just make it, well, okay, with this one. I think we should make a little off of it. If we're having to use our facility, we should make a little. And not just say, okay, this is just even, even Steven.
If we do it less than our cost, we're gonna be subsidizing the.
That's what I'm.
Would we subsidize Wichita County?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Now, we may have a little argument about what our cost is. Somebody might figure it differently than I did a little bit.
But at the same time, though, I'm looking at what we're gonna be able to get. Every prisoner we get in there of ours, we're not getting subsidized for them.
Right.
It's costing the county that, whatever it is, it's costing them. But if we get 15 or 20 of another county in here, and we can get within the ballpark or close to what our cost is, then that's gonna minimize the average of these other guys.
We'll make them higher. We don't fully cover our costs.
People say,
Well,
it's gonna cost us $250 a month per prisoner.
But the food cost now is not what? $2.50 a prisoner?
Right.
It's minimal.
It's went down since that contract.
Yes, that contract has minimized our food cost. But it goes back to where the only difference is how much more water it costs. Because the rest of that stuff, you're still gonna have the same amount of guys there for 96 as you are for anything else.
But 3750 fire costs us 46, it's $9 a day, it's $270 a month per prisoner. We're subsidizing times, 13, 14 prisoners, you're looking at $3,200 a month, that we're subsidizing $36,000 a year.
But I look at it different.
That's a month and a half worth of water.
I look at it different.
That's all we got, is this one.
Because the guys we got.
You're saying bird in the hand, worth two in the bush.
Well, the guys we got in there now cost us whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's our cost.
That's all we had.
And it's just like anything else. The only thing's gonna go up is the food and the water. And you're not gonna be that much increase in the food. If it's $2.50 a day and you got 15 people in there, or 10, what, $25? You know, that's not that much increase.
That's 30 days. Like 12 months.
Yeah.
They're gonna have half the housing somewhere, they got some problems up there.
They got some major.
Why would Wichita Falls be inclined to fix their jail, they can house them outside of their jail for less money than
They're not, they can't do that. Because the fact of what they have in there, they're looking right now to build I think it's a $50 million facility.
Sounds like they're getting themselves in a position they're gonna have to.
Well, that's the problem right now, they're in, they don't have to get built. No, they won't build a complete new contract. They don't have all of it.
Oh, to, which all in? Yeah. We didn't get that one.
We haven't got that. But we can sit here and, this part looks good if you will do your.
Time out this minute.
But you see what I'm saying? It's, we're not.
I do understand that, but I think also if we house out of prisoners, I think it should be a money-making thing a little bit.
It is money making.
Even at 37.50.
Even at 37.50. Because you're getting something that you would, the only difference in the cost is the food and the water. Your electricity is exactly the same, your gas is exactly the same.
But I'd sure like to talk to them too.
Labor cost is the same, insurance is the same.
What if Archer County, let me just say, Archer County is making $46 a prisoner, and we're only at 37. Why shouldn't we go to 45?
If the difference, that's the case, but we can't go higher than what they are.
No, no, because you're gonna be
We gotta
yourself out of
get either
business.
with them or get just a little under them. But we gotta get right there in the ballpark.
Exactly. No, I understand that.
But something is better than nothing. And like I say, we're not getting nothing for our guys we got in there.
Right. But I think we should evaluate what 37.50, because if it is more,
We can do that. And if it is higher, we'll go a little higher. I
right.
agree.
We're on the same page. Versus the thing, unless you have highlighted copy.
Don't have a highlight.
Go highlight it.
No,
All we've got is where Wichita or Young.
Plus, they all saw the 37.
Just both.
Yeah, well, I'm supposed to get y'all this email, which is basically those things incorporated into the Wichita County contract, which I liked it a little bit better because it was just a little bit cleaner document. And modified, brought all those things in the end that y'all requested. Highlighted.
So table this and get it to us.
Yeah, and I'm with Jimmy, I think we should shoot for Will Barger and Jack County and all the surrounding counties. I mean, I don't care what South Texas is getting for them, but we need to care about
But it would
this.
still be a good idea to look and see what, as a region.
Right, no, I understand.
You know, what the region is. That way we can see and say, how do you know? And maybe we talk to the other guys.
Maybe do a 100-mile radius.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
If you drive over that, it's not talking to him.
And I doubt they're gonna go to Oklahoma and play with you.
And I don't imagine they'll take anybody in Fort Worth from the Metroplex area. I don't.
Right now, like it is, there's a good many beds available
Yes.
around the state.
Wise County.
So there's not a whole lot of people housing inmates for other counties or other states. There's a few, there's a little, but not a whole lot. There's quite a bit of bed space available.
Didn't they tell us out there that Lubbock is doing some federal?
They may do it, yeah.
Of course, they have a big jail.
Haskell does that too. Haskell's federal and county.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's, out there, I think that's like a 520 bed.
It's a big,
Big.
but there's big money in the federal side of the thing. There's a lot, you get the back ones.
They pay for it a lot though.
They do.
They have egg.
They do.
Haskell things change hands two or three times.
Yeah.
Well, let's table this till the 11 p.m. and we'll get the rest of that stuff in. We like what you got in there.
You should be getting that pretty quick.
Okay.
Maybe, did you, anything? Yeah. I'll have pretty quick.
Anybody got it? I think I just hit it here. Right there.
Heard it being.
I haven't got it. There it goes. There it is.
Got it.
Right after the purple wave.
Still not highlighted, though, is it?
No, it's not highlighted.
Timmy, will that sand highlighted? Should that sand highlighted?
She got it in bold.
It's in highlight.
This is bold. The headings, no waiver immunity,
No,
that's
it's
bold.
actually yellow highlighted.
No, it's not.
The one you just got?
No.
They can double check it.
You should check it 3 times.
Triple check. And then come on here and highlight one for me.
Well,
This contract is not as long as Stevens County, what you're saying.
well, yeah, it probably is, it's on different, it's just a little different type, it's got a resolution,
Yeah.
part of it,
Whereas we run,
It's highlighted.
and therefore,
provisions and services,
Assurance.
section L, section G, section D, and contract period is all highlighted, and then indemnity is added, and mutual indemnification is added. And then Wichita County Contractor had a funding out option. In other words, it was an interlocal agreement more than it was a contract.
It is highlighted on hers, this ain't on ours.
Well, I was
Throw me a Crenshaw copy. That's highlighted. I looked at the one sent and it's highlighted.
But you might want to change that where it says D, E, F,
Yeah.
F, G,
You just
because it
call
does
it
say
that.
FF on it.
You caught something on that. Yeah. So I'll go back. That, they had it wrong on theirs. Sorry to change the way.
where is that highlighted?
Okay.
I can't pull the first one.
F, F, G.
It's the same thing, but one of them's
It's got the first F and the G highlighted. Oh, yeah.
She's ignoring you. Yes, and bold. Bold.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it don't have the, everything, no waiver.
And then it is expressive, Wiley.
Yeah.
Wyman.
It's
Formatting problem. Yeah, it's just a formatting problem, what you said.
Yeah.
I hope his looks better than ours.
It is expressly white, understood. That is extremely disagreement of parties, as well as at the small end. That means it don't, it's not there, it's significantly big end.
Yeah, his is bold, but his is right, I think. No waiver of immunity.
Heading, setting, provisions, all that come out right, but the other one.
No, ours says immunity.
Yeah.
Try it out, which one are you talking?
Right here. When it's all set up, it says a little IT and it is. Express over that.
Ours is, I don't know, this is not the same one.
Yeah.
You gonna report this?
I don't think so. I don't think we should be out there reporting.
They argued for 30 minutes on the document.
Yeah. They were just looking better all the time. We're not having our bid. IT person, they may need your assistance in there.
Any questions about your report? Yeah, this is, that's right one, it's not, I don't know why it's not highlighted on there.
Do know why that kind of did that, because this PDL, she used character recognition to change it over to a Word document. It did some crazy things.
So she took from a PDF, made it to an OCR, get it to a Word,
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, it was crazy. The OCR.
Still not operating. No, she resent it again. Also having her put it as a PDF.
That's just.
Nope.
OCR. You just wondered about character recognition. I'll find out some more about the numbers and what they are charging, and if they've got any, even if they have a contract. Costs are also, and I'll reach out a little bit wider involved.
Did you need a second on this table? So,
Okay, who make a motion? Jeannie? Have a motion from Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Pruitt to table this for our 11th, April the 11th meeting. All in favor? Aye. Carried 5-0. Okay, item number 16 is to accept donated road material, Stacy Hurd for use of precinct 3.
Getting to Stacy Hurd, but this is Stacy Rogers speaking. Oh, he had some old sidewalks busted up and stacked up there on this place that he bought. And it's about 2x2, broken up about 2x2 chunks. Cement sidewalks, it does have rebar sticking out, so we gotta watch that. He offered to donate to us to put in our washes, put in our washes and some of our bar ditches that's been washed away because of the flood waters. Just got a little agreement here signed off on him, but we can't enter his private property to get it. He's actually just donated it to us. Precinct 3.
It says, I am donating rough riprap material to Young County to be used specifically on Young County Precinct 3 road, bridges, culverts, and right of ways. Thank you, our time, thank you, our.
I'll second that.
I'm making a motion to approve that agreement.
I'll second.
hey, it came again with it highlighted.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rogers and a second by Commissioner Wiley to accept the donated road material for use in precinct 3. All in favor? Aye. Carries 5-0. Thank you, guys.
I was gonna go against it.
Be careful going to that pump, you're not gonna improve the road going in there getting there, yeah.
No.
Okay.
Anybody want to talk about burn restrictions?
No?
Be careful.
Hey, there is something I'd like to bring up. Some of our neighboring counties are trying this, and they're working with it. We can specifically put a burn ban on specific days.
Yes.
And like Red Flag Day, when it's mandated by the NOAA or the weather station, then we could enforce that, we could install that to where on Red Flag days
Is a burn
is
ban.
a burn ban day. And that's something we can think about or consider.
I think that's kind of smart.
Well, yeah.
Because, you know, if you do that on the Red Flag Day, number one is, it's not going to interfere with your prescribed burn, because they're not, the winds are going to be too high for prescribed burn. But at least it might help us if something goes down or get somebody mindful about it. It's just something we can think about if we want to enforce.
Is
Or
it
we
a
want to try.
24-hour burn ban, or is it just for the
It's
length
just-
of time, the flag warning is
It's
okay?
it's just for the length of the time of the flag, red flag warning.
Because sometimes they'll put those on in the morning, and they'll take them off in the afternoon.
Yeah, so we'd go off and then
Just that time.
Whenever.
So how do the people in Santos?
That's where these people right here come in handy. And where we
On the
start,
radio
when
station.
we start educating them. But we still encourage these people to call in. Even though we don't have a burn ban, we still need to encourage them to call in the sheriff's department and notify that they're having a prescribed burn or a controlled burn.
And I've seen those prescribed burns, them not
Burn
get out of control too.
Well, what do you guys think
Don't
about
quote me
that?
on that.
I guess the first thing I'd ask her, are we authorized to do that?
I think if you look back on the statute, I think you can, we can, as a court.
You know, I don't have necessarily a problem with it. I see where notice, you know, giving people notice that this is a red flag day. Our burn restrictions are effective for this day or this 12-hour period or until it's lifted. It's kind of difficult to get that out. You know, I'm absolutely wise that if it's winds over 10 miles an hour, you ought not to start a fire. They don't everybody can follow that.
But you know, as a rule, when the red flag warning, even on our cell phones, when you look up and it shows a red flag warning. And if y'all guys will notice, we're living in a time right now, because the El Nino, the wind has not been dying down at night like it used to do. It blows the whole night through. So the red flag is through the day, through the night, and it has been in only the next day or two. So that's just something to think about.
Okay, we'll investigate the authority of the court to enact a day-long burn restriction.
Or however long it is for the.
Right.
Red flag warning until the time is taken.
Yes.
Very good. Any other line of business?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Sykes requested a meeting to be organized a little later on. He suggested the 14th, April 15th for a meeting this court and of course a number of other counties and specific individuals invited, representatives, senators, and things like that. So we'll have to host that meeting. And we'll do so, and we'll make notifications. It's scheduled for 1:30 on the 14th.
14th of April.
14th of
So
April.
we're solid on
We'll discuss mental health issues and introduce.
That'd be Friday, Thursday, or Thursday.
This Thursday.
You'll post it Monday, they have Friday meeting.
We'll give it a 72-hour posting.
Okay.
And we'll let the time.
1:30.
Good enough. Have our questions ready.
That's on the Thursday, right? 1:30. Right?
Is Drew gonna be there? and-
Drew is, Craig's ready to invite, I've already talked to Drew, he's coming, Roddy's coming.
What about, the guy from up there, Wichita?
Roddy.
Atkins, he's coming. He said the only day that he couldn't come would be the 12th of May.
What about the other representatives, from Wichita?
Craig.
Frank?
Frank.
Probably wouldn't hurt for him.
I'll give them that.
You want him back?
Y'all will find it. Contract.
We got it.
We got it.
Those are some of my favorites.